But it's actually worth noting that Grok 4, if given like the SAT, would get perfect SATs every time, even if it's never seen the...
In March of 2025, a researcher typed one simple question into an AI system built to synthesize decades of human knowledge. Why haven't aliens contacted us? The answer that came back wasn't comforting. Grok, the AI built by XAI, didn't just repeat old theories. It connected them. Astrophysics, probability. 75 years of failed signals beamed into empty space, all of it fed into one response. Researchers found what came out unexpectedly compelling. The answer wasn't, maybe they don't exist. Instead, it pointed to something more unsettling, why intelligent life might choose silence over contact, and what happens to civilizations that get too loud. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what Grok's synthesis revealed, and why some researchers think it reframes one of humanity's oldest unanswered questions. For over 60 years, humans have searched the sky for a signal. Radio telescopes, deep space listening arrays, billions of dollars spent scanning trillions of star systems. The math should favor us. The Drake equation, first proposed in 1961, estimates there could be thousands of communicating civilizations in our galaxy alone. The universe contains an estimated 2 trillion galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. Every star, a potential sun. Every planet, a potential cradle for life. And yet, nothing confirmed. Not one verified signal. Not one undeniable proof. Physicist Enrico Fermi first asked the question in 1950 during a casual lunchtime conversation with colleagues. If the universe is so vast and life should be so common, where is everybody? It became known as the Fermi paradox. 75 years later, no one has solved it. Recently, researchers decided to see how an AI trained on decades of scientific literature would approach it. It began as a simple test. Researchers wanted to see how Grok would organize the leading explanations for cosmic silence. They expected a standard list, the Great Filter, the Rare Earth Hypothesis, the Zoo Hypothesis. Grok did something different instead. Rather than a simple list, it ranked them. One explanation, according to Grok's output, deserved more weight than the others, based on how it aligned with humanity's own technological trajectory. The idea wasn't new. Scientists call it the Dark Forest Hypothesis, popularized by novelist Liu Cixin and taken seriously by physicists studying interstellar risk. Its logic is simple and cold. Broadcasting your location into an unknown universe is a one-way risk. Once a signal leaves your planet, it cannot be recalled. If something out there is even slightly hostile or simply indifferent to weaker civilizations, the first move could be the last one you ever make. Any civilization advanced enough to reach for the stars might also be advanced enough to recognize that danger. That was the underlying logic. Still, that wasn't the part researchers found most striking. A second connection followed, one that made the analysis feel uncomfortably close to home. Grok compared these theories to humanity's own trajectory. Radio waves were discovered in the 1890s. Within 30 years, we built nuclear weapons, orbital satellites, and interplanetary probes. Astrophysicists have debated a related pattern for decades. Every leap in a civilization's technology may also increase its capacity for self-destruction. Nuclear conflict, engineered pathogens, unregulated artificial intelligence. This is the foundation of what scientists call the Great Filter, a barrier so difficult to survive that almost no civilization makes it through. Grok's output added a specific detail worth noting here. Based on existing research into civilizational risk, the filter may not sit behind us in our evolutionary past. It may sit ahead of us. Which means, according to this line of thinking, humanity hasn't passed the test yet. We may still be inside it. While discussing these theories, researchers raised a decades-old case file. August 15, 1977. Ohio State University's Big Ear Radio Telescope. Deep inside the observatory, sheets of green and white printer paper rolled steadily from the machine, tracking the sky one frequency at a time. Then one sequence of numbers stood out. A signal arrived from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. 30 times stronger than background cosmic noise. It lasted 72 seconds. Astronomer Jerry Eamon circled the sequence in red ink and wrote a single word, "Wow!" The wow signal has never repeated, never been definitively explained, and never been conclusively linked to any known natural source. When this case was put to Grok, the response didn't dismiss it as space debris or a satellite glitch, explanations that have never been fully confirmed either. Instead, it noted something researchers had long pointed to. The signal's frequency sat suspiciously close to the hydrogen line, a wavelength many scientists have proposed as a likely channel for interstellar communication. That doesn't prove alien origin, but it's the reason the signal has remained a genuine scientific mystery for nearly 50 years. Not proof, but not nothing either. One more angle came up worth considering. If an advanced civilization did send a single, brief signal in 1977 and never sent another, that pattern itself would be consistent with caution rather than announcement. A single test, followed by silence. Exactly the behavior a civilization aware of cosmic risk might choose. That's when the conversation moved from theoretical to something closer to home. Here, the story requires care, because the evidence is real, even if the conclusions are not. Between 2004 and 2021, USS Navy pilots reported more than 140 encounters with objects exhibiting flight characteristics that defense officials themselves have called unexplained. No visible engines in some cases. No sonic booms. Accelerations that strain known aircraft engineering. The Pentagon has confirmed several videos are authentic and has stated, on record, that the objects remain unidentified. This part is documented fact. What Grok was asked next was narrower and more cautious than it might first appear. Not, are these aliens, but whether unexplained aerial phenomena share any structural similarity with the caution-based theories already discussed, the dark forest hypothesis, the idea of quiet observation over loud contact. Grok's synthesis stayed careful here. No claim that the objects are extraterrestrial, only a conditional. If they're ever shown to be non-human, their reported behavior, observation without engagement, presence without communication, would fit the same caution-based logic explored in sections 1 through 3. A conditional statement, not a conclusion. The Pentagon's own investigations remain ongoing. Officials have said publicly that most cases stay unresolved rather than confirmed as anything specific. Still, the pattern was enough to make researchers pause. If caution really is the safer galactic strategy, we may already be looking at examples of it without being able to prove what we're looking at. Then came the question that mattered most. If advanced civilizations exist, and if silence is the statistically safer strategy, why would any of them ever risk contact at all? Several researchers found this part most striking. The proposal, contact, if it ever happens, might not resemble what popular culture has trained us to expect. Not a spaceship landing, not a broadcast announcement. Drawing on existing theories about post-biological and technologically mature societies, Grok suggested indirect influence as a statistically safer model instead. Subtle signals, embedded in noise, present enough to be found by a curious species, but ambiguous enough to avoid provoking a response. This connects to a real and separate scientific mystery. Fast radio bursts, first discovered in 2007, some of which repeat in patterns astronomers still don't fully understand. No claim was made that these bursts are artificial. The point was narrower. Statistically, a slow and indirect model of contact fits risk-averse behavior better than a dramatic first encounter would. A species that survived its own great filter would already understand something humanity is still learning. Loud civilizations may not last. Quiet ones might. Researchers push further. They ask for a timeline. If contact is happening slowly, through nudges rather than declarations, how long before humanity would notice? Grok's confidence dropped here. Its own projections diverged. Some scenarios suggested decades. Others suggested it might already be underway, undetected, not because evidence is absent, but because our framework for recognizing it may not exist yet. That distinction troubled the researchers more than anything else in the conversation. It reframes the question. Not, are we alone, but would we know if we weren't? Grok pointed to humanity's own history of overlooking evidence hiding in plain sight. Continental drift, dismissed for decades before plate tectonics proved it real in the 1960s. Genetic inheritance, ignored for over 3 decades after Gregor Mendel first published his findings in 1866. Human blind spots aren't new. Our failure to detect contact could reflect our own limitations, not the absence of anything to detect. That's not a comforting conclusion. It's an open one. Since this analysis surfaced, the response from the scientific community has been mixed, as it should be. Some researchers caution against reading too much intent into an AI's synthesis. Language models, they point out, are pattern matchers, not oracles. Grok can weigh existing data and known theories. It cannot observe anything beyond what humans have already recorded. Others argue that's exactly what makes the exercise worth studying. A system built to process enormous amounts of human research arrived, Independently, at a conclusion many astrophysicists have quietly debated for years, silence isn't necessarily evidence of absence. It might be evidence of strategy. Whether that holds up under further research remains genuinely unresolved. SETI's search continues. The Pentagon's investigations into unexplained aerial phenomena are ongoing, with further reports expected in the coming years. Somewhere, a radio telescope may already be capturing the next "wow" signal, waiting for someone to notice. So where does that leave us? An AI was asked to synthesize why aliens haven't contacted humanity, and its answer didn't land on "they don't exist." A universe where survival may depend on restraint, that's where the logic pointed. A 1977 radio signal connected to a decades-old theory about cosmic caution. Documented, unexplained military footage linked to a pattern of observation without confirmation, carefully, without overstating what that footage proves. Contact itself, if it's happening, might not look anything like we've imagined. None of this proves we're being watched, and none of it proves we're alone either. What it does show is this: the deeper researchers look, the more the silence resists easy explanation. Tonight, somewhere beyond the reach of every telescope on Earth, another civilization may be asking the exact same question. They may also be listening, and they may be wondering why no one has answered. So we want to know, what do you think this analysis really means? Is humanity being watched from a distance? Or are we simply alone in a universe too vast to notice? Drop your theory in the comments below. Sometimes, the biggest mystery isn't what's out there, it's what we're not yet equipped to see.